lot of North American region putting a lot of controls in terms of the immigration procedures, which is creating problems for free movement of people for this model to evolve and work. And there's a big gap in terms of the talent crunch. We hire people from almost 150 campuses in India. When they come on board, we find that the employability is close to maybe 20 to 25%. And if you look at the industry, the way things are happening at this point of time, I don't think any company do have visibility into the market beyond 6 months of time frame. Everybody does an extrapolation based on historical trends. So last 2 years, NASCOM will say that the industry grew X percentage, so it's likely to grow Y percentage. So if that is the trend, how many people that we need to cater to that, and we go and hire that. And you see large companies in a huge talent pool sitting there doing nothing. Probably some of them are not even honoring the commitment they made when they hired those people. So the industry has constant flux, and the customer expectations also have changing drastically. Historically, if you look at customers probably carve out a small chunk of the work to you at a fixed price or a time and material, whatever that the model be, and when you deliver, you get the money. 30 to 40% of the software that get developed doesn't get used at all, because you lose the window of opportunity where they can capitalize on this. So over a period of time, customers also become very, very smart. And they say that, why should I take the risk? I'm going to pass on the risk to you. So they're smart in coming back and saying that, we pay you based on the outcome. If you're not able to add value to our business, why should I pay you? Right? And 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm sure that many of your colleagues would have been probably proud to say that, I am an Oracle DBA, I'm a Java programmer, I am an architect, and so on and so forth. I think that is also kind of losing its importance. I'm not saying it is not important, but the priority has shifted. Today, when we interact with customers, customers are looking for you to understand their business problems. Customers are looking at you providing solutions to their business problems using technology. So that is where the paradigm shift has happened. Technology, any Tom, Dick, and Alex can learn in 3 months, right? It's not a big deal. In my career, I would have probably changed technology 6 or 7 times. Something new comes, you go after. As long as you have the learnability and quickly get up to speed, it's not a big deal. But understand the domain. If you are actually a provider of service to a top retailer in the globe, in the world, they expect you to understand how retail business typically works. They expect you to understand what are the challenges they are facing in the marketplace, and they expect you to provide solutions to their business problems using technology. So that is the paradigm shift, which also kind of resulted in changing some of the traditional models of software development and software implementation and outsourcing. And that is where I think, you all need to focus on. The paradigm shift in moving from a technology-based environment to a business or a value-driven environment is something, which is of paramount importance at this point in time. So the challenge that we've been facing, or some of the larger corporation has been facing, is in terms of either rebranding, that you are no more a technology provider, but you are a solution provider. More importantly, is how do you transform 150,000 people's mindset from a technology-driven focus to something being perceived as a value-driven engine, and customers see the difference. It's not an easy thing. The culture, there's a paradigm cultural change that needs to happen to the organization. A paradigm change in the terms of the way you learn things, and the paradigm shift in terms of how you appear in front of the customer, saying that I understand your business. So that has been some of the challenges I think most of the companies has been going through in the recent past. And we have been so lucky because we're not an old company, so we kind of missed some of the early things. But 1999 onwards, I think we've been very, very focused in three things. One is having a foundation built on value systems. In a business environment, it's very difficult to probably explain that, why should you really worry about value systems? Today we are very proud that we have a philosophy of fewer customers but deeper relationships. This was also kind of debated many times. I'm not saying that this is a successful model, but I think I wanted to take you through some of the real problems that we went through, because today when I say that we have fewer customers, our intent is to have fewer customers but very relationship oriented business. It means that I'm taking a lot more risks because I'm very, very selective in getting the customer who has got a value alignment with me. I'm looking for a long-term association with each of the customers. So how do you make sure that it's a sustainable or a scalable model? So I wanted to touch upon a few frameworks that we tried which worked really well. And when senior leadership of our company comes and meet people, they never talk about business or revenues or EBITDA or profitability. It doesn't matter. They only talk about people. In the knowledge industry, you know that people makes a difference. How do you make sure that you leverage the 9,000 plus workforce to drive towards a vision? How do you make sure that you empower 9,000 plus people towards a vision and completely make it as a non-linear growth? So I'm very proud that I've been part of that journey, and I wanted to share a few snippets of the success that we had in the past. So when I talk about the fundamental values, and values being humanity, humility, and integrity, when it comes to humility, many people mistake it as being humble. But in our paradigm definition, it is your ability to learn and selflessly interact with others. Some of them probably think very, very fundamental to you. I think there is no rocket science in the whole thing. Many of you, when joined from the campuses, we found that, and historically also, we are in a very, very hierarchical environment. We call everyone sir, especially elders, and you get up when somebody senior walks into your office or room as a mark of respect. And we inculcate a culture saying that we are not going to call anyone in the senior officer as sir. We are all by first name. And it's been very difficult for a fresher who interacts with our chairman, who is 70 plus years old, who from the Harvard Business School, who was actually heading IBM Asia Pacific for 40 years, and say, hey Dan, they've been finding very difficult. And we actually came out with two process. One is, if somebody calls someone as sir, you have to pay a penalty. And later on we flip the rule, saying that if somebody calls you a sir and somebody is getting called a sir, you'll have to pay 5 times the penalty of the other one, because he didn't create a culture, environment for him to be confident and consider you as your colleague in the first place. And both goes for charity. Second thing is, we have also instituted a stand-up fund. If somebody senior comes to your office and you get up as a mark of respect, you have to pay a penalty. So these are very, very symbolic things that we adopted to ensure that you break that hierarchical mindset in you. And how and what that translated into is actually the building the confidence in each one of you. Today, when a Fortune 500 CIO come to our office, we spend very, very little time in the boardroom. They actually go into the base and interact with the fresh grads from the college, and they share an idea, and they talk with confidence, and they're getting an opportunity to interact with one of the world's largest corporations, senior executives, which over a period of time created best managers, entrepreneurs who constantly provide the support and and when a CIO interacts with a 1-year experienced person in a company, the confidence with he interacts with, gives the confidence for the CIO to give more and more work, which is very, very fundamental. So that is one ecosystem that we created for this. And humanity, of course, it goes without saying, and integrity and all that stuff. But I think we keep repeating this every time we get an opportunity. And we created an ecosystem for our employees to carry it forward. When an employee joins the organization, we have somebody called a value mentor or a value ambassador who actually handhold you till you become a value ambassador. So that is a very, very scalable model. Second thing is, I talked about the value creation by providers. I recently happened to read a book published by IBM. They actually kind of evaluated the top 100 corporations who've been in the business for the last 5-6 decades. And they also kind of evaluated the revenues coming from the products and services. And one of the observations they made is 80% of the revenue comes from products and services that got incubated in the last 5 to 7 years. So what that means is customers are always looking at nonlinear growth. How can you create an ecosystem that you promote innovation in everything and whatever you do? We created actually 3 engines of innovation ecosystem. One is the apple tree, and I'm sure that many of you would have probably worked in IT services. When you are in a particular account, your access is restricted, your information security people come after you that do this, don't do this, and so on and so forth. But you never get an opportunity to work and learn some of the best technologies out there. So we created a completely different ecosystem where you get access to anything out there. We have software license agreement with all the vendors, which allows you to download the software and play with that. You can go and you're welcome to go and break the systems. The only thing what we say is don't make the same mistake again. So that created an ecosystem for innovation. The second thing is we also created an ecosystem for ideation. When we talk about ideation, it's not that in a few PhDs sit together and talk about something, very big. Each one of you is a leader. Each one of you has great ideas. How do you make sure that we democratize the ideation process and go through a system where those ideas get implemented? We cannot have production control, at the time of ideation. We can easily say your idea is not good, it's not going to bring any value, but we take it to the level where it gets closed if it can be implemented, and we handhold you to make that happen. So which actually created quite a few ideas, 18,000 ideas in the last 2 years, 2-3 years. We extended this innovation ecosystem to the client base as well. Leaders like GE, for instance, we actually did an ideation camp for GE real estate. The theme was how to increase the real estate value of the GE. We played as like a soccer match, all the senders in a video conference for 90 minutes, generated 600 ideas in a span of 90 minutes. We filtered and sent the top 5 ideas to GE. They implemented the top 1 and 2. We do incubate specific innovation labs for customers based on business problems they go through. This is giving an opportunity to you to be part of some of the world-class solutions and environments and get involved independent of what you do on a day-to-day basis. The third element of this is in terms of the open minds, which is something like an open source environment where you create a collaborative environment for you to develop. We didn't really kick off, but I think we've been trying to do it. So what I'm trying to say is, when clients talk about innovation, it doesn't come by itself. You need to have an ecosystem which is scalable, and as we grow, you see the value out of it. And many times customers come back and say, your outcome is also based on 10% contribution of the innovation, which never worked in the first place. Because innovation is not a one-sided thing. It is a joint effort. So we've been able to take a lot of thought leadership in those areas and go back to the customers in creating that ecosystem. And like I said before, one of the things the industry is having a problem from that perspective is that when the companies get larger and bigger, they're losing the touch. Today, if you take any of the tier 1 companies in India, and if you go through the quarterly results, they add probably 30 to 40 customers every quarter. And if you look at Infosys or TCS, probably they may have probably around 1,000 customers. So the level of interaction that the CIO or the leadership team of the client base with the leadership team of the providers have come down drastically. Let's say if Shibulal has the intent to say hello to every CIO there he does business, if he does one per day, it probably take 3 years for him to finish the entire client list. So the level at which the interaction happens is probably at the director level, maybe an account manager level. It also is creating a lot of issues because the leadership paradigm and the middle manager layer is a pretty weak segment as far as the Indian IT services company is concerned. And that is where I just thought it makes sense to augment the competency of that layer, which is going to play a significant role in providing that kind of leadership and thought leadership to customers. So we've been talking about this because when we were very small, it was very easy for the leaders to interact because we are all in one roof, 500 people, and because of this non-hierarchical culture, people always have access to the leadership team and interact, and they see what leadership wants and how they treat customers and take the relationship. But when we started the other geographies like Chennai, Bangalore and Manila, we completely failed in terms of scaling whatever we incubated. And when we went back to customers, we asked why you do business with us. And if you look at, we have 99% of our customers are in the Fortune 500 space. We work with the world's largest retailer, GE, Wellpine, all those. We asked, see, we are just a small fish in a pond, maybe 9,000, 8,500 people. What is that you see us differently? And they invariably came back and said, you guys has the passion and the commitment which we don't see. Your value system is something which is phenomenal, and we see every day the spark in whoever we interact with. And these are some of the fundamental traits that we didn't want to lose. And we've been really struggling to make sure that irrespective of the geography, if somebody talks to our employee, they see these fundamental traits. And what we did is we actually worked with McKinsey to come out with a model called the UST handprint. So it has got two components. One is the core competency framework, and the second is the service competency framework. So these are the core competency is everybody in the organization supposed to go through, right from the chairman to a junior software engineer who joins the company, go through this framework. What it does is it kind of encapsulated all that we heard from the customer. It has got 5 components. One is live the values. This is something which we don't want to dilute. Second is to put the client first. Third is inspired and get inspired. Passionate entrepreneurship and execution mindset. Each one has 6 levels. Level 1, just to give an example for the first one, level 1 being you understand the value system of the company. Level 2 means you understand and they also intend to practice. Level 3 could be, in addition to the first level 2s, you also promote in the group where you are a member. And it goes all the way to level 6. Your influence will be even outside the company. You probably may be living the values of humility, humanity, integrity in an environment or a community where you live in. And each of these are observable, consistent, and repeatable and measurable kind of traits. We ourselves go through a self-evaluation, then followed by a review, and we also have specific programs to go from one level to level 2. Is actually extended through our online learning capsules. The second half is in terms of the service competency. You being a project manager, you being a database administrator, you being a Java programmer, how can I go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4? So when we do the annual appraisals, we look at these components. And when we look for a project manager to play the role of a project management, or an account manager to play that role, we look at core competency and service competency. If you are a client-facing individual, you should definitely have an execution mindset of level 3 and above. So which has become very, very scalable. And today, because of the rigor in which we are actually enforcing this, irrespective of the geography, we've been kind of measure the fundamental traits even for lateral hires when they come into the organization, and make it scalable. And we take actually benchmark assessments with the clients in terms of how we are doing in terms of those core competencies, and this is very, very fundamental. So the thing is, what you start with and how you scale is going to be very important. Unless you create that kind of ecosystem, it's going to be extremely difficult for those companies to sustain. And in a flatter world, especially in IT service industry, everyone is being evaluated by everyone around you. We truly believe that your role, your